Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of the Governor's Conference of Disability Affairs. Today we have Becoming Alzheimer's Aware by Ms. Ann Rowling. Ann Rowling serves as Training Director and Program Coordinator for Alzheimer's Services of the Capital Area. She is committed to advancing their mission of teaching, caring, and connecting. She brings over 30 years of professional communication and management experience from across the state. We're excited to have you.
Terrific. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be with y'all this morning. I appreciate you letting me be your first speaker of the day. I hope I wake some of you up and keep you well engaged over the next hour. We are going to talk about becoming Alzheimer's aware and what that kind of entails. I do come from Alzheimer's Services of the Capital Area, and we are a nonprofit located in the greater Baton Rouge area that service our EBR parish as well as 10 other parishes around the area. But our mission is to teach, care for, and connect within our communities and other communities. I actually train across the state into nursing homes. We do not turn anyone away from our services. It is our mission to take on and walk the journey with families who are going through Alzheimer's and dementia diagnoses. So we provide Charlie's Place Respite Care Centers, award-winning centers right here in Baton Rouge and in Gonzales that give those special families walking this journey a place for their family members to be happy. I call it Cheers for Alzheimer's. So it's one of our largest missions, and it is open again after COVID, and we're thrilled to be able to be part and welcome those families and those clients back into our community. That being said, today I'm going to try to give you a good bit of information, and so I want you to be able to chat some questions up into the chat box. Is that possible? Is that all okay with you all? That we have some chat boxes, or at least jot them down and hold them till the end, and we'll try to give everybody an extra 5 minutes there at the end to ask some questions about what we may be learning today, okay?
And people can put their questions, the attendees can put their questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
Throughout the your session.
Terrific, thanks. There we go, questions. I believe that we all learn more from each other, so please don't hesitate on questions. So this morning's goals are pretty quick. We're gonna look at what is the importance of what we call brain health. What's the statistical reality here in our state and across the country? What about dementia and Alzheimer's? Is that the same thing, or is there a difference? We want to learn warning signs so we can educate people on how to be more brain healthy. We're going to talk a little bit about good news and research, proactive brain health, like we do with heart health. And then we're going to talk about those practical things we can do to become Alzheimer's aware in our society, okay? And then I'm going to offer you some resources for help. So what do we mean by the importance of brain health? Well, sadly enough, between 2000 and 2019, the statistics show that deaths from heart disease decreased by a little over 7%. Little over 7%. That's remarkable numbers compared to what it was 20 years ago. But during that same time, deaths from Alzheimer's increased by 145%. We need a big learning curve. Heart disease is out there. Lots of people know what to ask their doctor. We don't know about that, about brain health. And in order for us to all get healthy, we've got to learn a lot more. That's part of our goals today. Research shows that keeping our brain active and vital really increases its ability to withstand these types of diseases, okay? So we need to become a lot more brain health aware, all righty? And this is the beginning of how we become Alzheimer's aware, how we see what's going on in the world around us and recognize Alzheimer's in the stages that it can still really be helped and actively worked with, okay? Here are the very grim statistics that we wish we didn't have to report, but which we do. In 2022, 1 in 3 seniors dies from Alzheimer's. 1 in 3 seniors. That's an awful number. It is the 6th leading cause of death overall, and it is the 5th leading cause of death in those 65 and older. Those are tough numbers to swallow. Over 6 million Americans alone live with Alzheimer's disease right now. By 2050, this number is projected to be nearly 13 million. 13 million. We have a huge crisis on our hands, okay? Every 65 seconds, someone in the United States develops Alzheimer's disease. It kills more than breast cancer and prostate cancer combined, all right? We spend over 18 billion hours of care provided by family and other unpaid caregivers. Billions of hours and dollars worth of care. We spend almost over 250 billion worth of care provided by family members and other unpaid caregivers, okay? The hours and the money that we are putting into the care because they require it, right? Where does it come from? Well, it comes from us, okay? Alzheimer's and dementia deaths have absolutely increased almost 20%, but absolutely 17% during the pandemic. So not only did we have seniors who passed away with the pandemic, then you had an increase of almost 17% more if they happen to have Alzheimer's or dementias. So this national crisis that we're dealing with also hits us on a statewide level. Okay, there's no way we can avoid it here in our state. Over 100,000 plus in Louisiana, 65 and older, are living with Alzheimer's. So we like to say for every one person that is diagnosed, you have at least 2 others who are truly affected, because at some point that person living with Alzheimer's has to have somebody be with them, okay? So 204,000 family caregivers bear this burden. 3.9 billion of unpaid care within our state alone, all right? Alzheimer's alone costs the state millions and millions to our Medicaid, okay? So it's a crisis that we need to all become more aware of and truly better understand. So I want you today to take away with some basic understanding of what's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's, okay? There's a difference and we want to know it. Dementia in its simple form is just that the brain is failing. It doesn't work like it did earlier in that person's life, okay? The brain is dying, the cells are shrinking, and that brain literally gets smaller. Very, very, very tough. It's sort of a domino effect, and it has different effects on different individuals. There's lots of diseases that dementia is. So let's talk about that. Dementia is a large umbrella term. I want you to think of it like an umbrella term. Alzheimer's disease is the largest person that would be standing under that umbrella, okay? 60 to 70% of all diagnoses of dementias will be Alzheimer's. So you understand, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia, okay? But it can be either young onset, late onset. We are seeing much, much more young onset dementia as technology increases, that they can see into that brain more, and people are becoming more aware. Then we are seeing these younger onset diagnoses, okay? Late life onset is what most of us know as Alzheimer's, all right? But there are other forms of dementia that act a lot like Alzheimer's, but yet are different. Vascular dementia is simply different types of strokes. that can affect the brain in the ways that you lose short-term memory. You may not be able to do and think things through the way you were prior to your stroke. So vascular dementia can also be a very long-term disease that is hard on families, okay? There's a new dementia called Lewy body dementia. And that is a tough disease. It comes with a lot of delusions and can sometimes be mistaken as real psychiatric issues. In fact, it is a dementia and it will progress fairly quickly with Lewy body. It's a very tough disease on those caregivers. There's also frontal temporal lobe dementias where something happens to the front of your brain, some type of trauma. My husband suffered frontal temporal lobe dementia after a heart operation. That happens. He can't do what he once did. And his diagnosis is frontal temporal. There are lots of others. Dementias, there can be hundreds of dementias. So I like to say you can even just memory loss does not necessarily mean dementias, but it does mean that there's so much out there that you really do need to look at it. What I want you to take from today is that there are major types of dementia. Alzheimer's is the largest, most commonly diagnosed. When they tell you he's had a stroke, he can't think the way he did, that is a form of dementia, okay? And that you need to ask questions. What type? Look, even sometimes depression and other mental conditions can look like a dementia, but with treatment, that can get better. But true dementias really don't reverse in time, okay? So let's learn a little bit about Alzheimer's itself. Alois Alzheimer's was a physician, a German physician. That's why we call it Alzheimer's disease. And he was the first physician to identify this disease. Basically, he had a patient who he noticed had all this short-term memory loss and then became very different from herself. So he actually documented her, and then upon her death, did an autopsy and discovered what we now know and what we still know as the hallmark of Alzheimer's disease, which are that there are plaques and neurons that interrupt the normal. And if you look at slide A, that's a normal neuron working like I hope it's working in my brain today. We'll see as I get older how well that works, okay? But slide B is plaques and tangles attaching to that and interrupting the messages, all right? And slide C can show you what a healthy brain looks like and then how that brain shrinks and fails through the disease of Alzheimer's, okay? And again, Alzheimer's is a type of dementia, but in most dementias, as the brain begins to fail and the cells don't connect correctly, that brain begins to shrink. And that person just cannot do, even with the best of intentions, what they wanted to do or what they want or what they think they may even be able to do, which is even harder on us as caregivers. So is there such a thing as normal aging? You know, do we all just get old and lose a little bit of our thoughts and attentions? Well, yes, normal aging really does exist. As we get older, our brains just kind of get lazy. It's normal. But you probably know a good many older people who do well, okay? They may be a little bit slower. They may not be as sharp, but they can get and take care of themselves, okay? Memory loss truly is a natural form of aging, but severe memory loss, confusion, those are different levels, okay? That is what we call not normal, all right? And the earlier you detect that, the better off you can be to work with it, make improvements on it, and even maybe try to adjust your life in ways that allow you to live independently for longer. So Is there such a thing as normal aging and memory loss? Yes. I am sad to say I'm 60. I'm not sad, I'm proud. I'm 60. It's a good thing, right? But when I was 40 and had 3 children, working a full-time job and a husband out of town, each morning I had to make myself a little list in my head. Boom, 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 boom. This is what I was going to do today. Well, at 60, my list is definitely on a piece of paper now. I would think that by 80, my list is going to have to be in a large piece of paper with big numbers, okay? So as we age, we do change, and that's normal. It's okay that we don't process things as quickly. Names that I used to have all my life, people say, yeah, you know her. How do I know her? Oh, yep, okay, I got her. If you think on it, you can get it. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but normal memory loss is okay as we age. The question is it interrupting your real life or the person you love? Can they no longer do what they could do? Are they in danger because of their memory loss? So I like to use this little comment. Is it a senior moment or is it a doctor moment? Okay. Normal aging versus not normal aging. So when do you go talk to a doctor about what you think you might be experiencing? I will tell you, go talk to them. Don't hesitate. Let them know, hey, I didn't remember. I came out of the Walmart and couldn't find my car. Okay. I have a sweet lady that we work with here. She puts one of those safety cones on top of her car because she knows she can't remember what kind of car she has, but she can remember the cone. So she look across the parking lot and there's her cone and there you go. I'll be happy if sometimes we find lots of cones on tops of older people's cars. That means they're working well with their memory loss, okay? But there are times when we need to talk to our doctor. And I will tell you that this is a really good way to look at your brain health and to make your doctor aware that you want brain health, okay? So you need to go to the doctor whenever you see that your normal aging memory is a little different, you're uncomfortable, things are not just what they used to be, okay? Mild cognitive impairment is generally known as the beginning of permanent memory loss in the long run. Okay, it's just those little things that get skipped. Okay, it's caused by many things, but most commonly it's the beginning of Alzheimer's disease. But remember, we went back, and that is Alzheimer's is the one dementia that they're going to diagnose you with most. Okay, so the sooner you catch it, the sooner you can work with a doctor, work with agencies like ourselves to manage it and to extend that difficult time, okay? It can be mistaken for normal aging where you don't get the help you need then. But it is really important that any hesitation you have, visit a doctor, get that information, press on your doctor what's bothering you, okay? It is caused by many things, but mostly it's Alzheimer's disease from mild cognitive impairment. So what are we going to talk about with our doctor when we go and we say, hey, I'm having memory loss, but I'm 83 years old. Don't I get normal memory loss? Sure you do. You're 83, you're 92, you're 78. You get normal memory loss, but is it interrupting your world? That's what you have to determine, okay? So memory loss is common, disrupts your daily life, forgetting appointments, events, and names. Some of us do that all the time at any age. It's just that it's occurring often, okay? Number 2 is I can't do what I once do. Difficulty performing just familiar tasks. I'm in the middle of a meal and I get stuck. I had a friend of mine, her dad went to his toaster and he put his slices of tomato in the toaster instead of the oven, okay? It ruined the toaster. She says, I think my dad's lost his mind. I said, no, I think he's losing a little bit too much of his memory. He was 92. Give the man a break. Yes, he probably needs to see a doctor, okay? Number 3, problems with language. Words don't come to you the way they once did. And we really need to recognize that it's okay to hesitate and then wait and the words come. But when they still don't come, people are cluing you in. That's a red flag to go see a doctor, okay? Here's the one that most people talk about, disorientation to time and place. And really and truly, this is a scary situation for anyone who's driving and they're going to their normal place on a regular basis. And then suddenly, that day, they can't remember where they are or how to get home. That's scary, okay? When that happens to you, you lose track of where you are. You lose track of what day it is, the seasons, the passage of time. Time just, you don't even know it's the afternoon. That's a way trouble finding issue. And you really need to see a doctor. Disorientation to time and place. If you're seeing a family member go through that, that's number 1. That's not normal. And we need to get somebody to take a look at them, okay? Poor or decreased judgment. It's hot outside and she's walking out with a sweater and that just doesn't look right, okay? Poor or decreased judgment. They don't have the ability to develop and follow a plan anymore. Even simple plans like they resist taking baths because that's kind of overwhelming to them. That's not uncommon, all right? That's a real red flag. You need to see somebody. The other problems, keeping track of things. We all lose our keys. Don't fret. Doesn't mean you got to run to the doctor, okay? But many people that are having real mild cognitive impairment or serious memory issues tend to put things where they don't belong. Keys in the refrigerator. Let's see, what's another one? They're just not able to locate those familiar items. I had a grandmother who obviously had Alzheimer's. We just didn't know it back then. They didn't use that term then. But she would never let loose of her purse. And now I know she was scared that she was going to lose it because she'd put it down so many times and couldn't remember where to go find it again. And it wasn't within her field of vision anymore. So she clung to it like it's life itself. That's because she was having trouble keeping track of things, okay? So that's another red flag. Misplacing things. You put something down, you know you put it there, but yeah, it's not where it is, okay? You're not returning things to its normal place. My husband does have frontal temporal, and I have to label drawers so that he might be able to read and know where to return things. Otherwise, forks go in the wrong drawer, plates go in the wrong cabinet, glasses wound up wherever. Good luck finding a hammer, okay? So little things like that you can do to help yourself, but you have to know what's going on. Misplaced items are another sign that, hey, you might need a little help and need somebody. You really need to go see a doctor. I love this 8th one because I know we all know old people who change their mood and behavior. As we get older, it's our right. We should be able to change our mood and behavior. But what we're talking about is that this person is no longer their sweet, kind self or their crotchety old curmudgeon self. Suddenly they become nice. You're like, there's something going on there. He's always been so aggravated with life, and suddenly he's not engaged. Changes in mood and behavior are a real sign and a warning sign of dementia that's already there, okay? So number 9 is trouble with image and spatial relationships. If they get into some little fender benders, you need to look at what's really going on. With Alzheimer's, with mild cognitive impairment, our ability to see around us can get impaired fairly early on. So the ability to see what we see and how we interpret that changes. So that car may be coming up on him on the side, and he doesn't really see it very well until it's too close and he bumps. Okay. It's simple things like that. But if you start noticing bumps around a car, that's a pretty good sign. He may not be remembering as well and not remembering what lane he was in, et cetera, et cetera. Short-term memory loss comes in all sorts of ways. So definitely, if they have difficulty reading, judging distance, determining color or contrast, those are all things that say there might be something going on with that person's memory, okay? And the last one is something that you're gonna have to reach out for that loved one to figure out, because a lot of times they get to be kind of curmudgeony, and we're happy when they withdraw from work, but they become quickly isolated. And that is very, very difficult. COVID has been awful for people who have struggled through this disease because it's an isolating situation. And isolation is the opposite of what a person going through Alzheimer's and dementia needs, okay? But removal from hobbies, social activities, work projects. They went to church every Wednesday. They went to church every Sunday. Now they're hesitant to go. Well, they don't really know that they're not remembering everything, and they don't want other people to know, so they just withdraw, okay? They can't follow the bingo that they always played. They can't do the steps in a hobby. So they know they can't, so it's better for them to just let it go. So any of these 10 signs can really, really make a difference, okay? So what are we going to do to prioritize our brain health so that as we get older, we don't have these 10 signs? Well, if you're older, you can do this now. And if you're younger, do it now, okay? We have to learn to prioritize our brain health the way we prioritize our heart health. Better brain health goes beyond preventing Alzheimer's. It's about you being healthy. It's crucial for our ability to think, act, and live well. Reducing our risk factors, just like we reduce our heart health risk factors, is how we're going to do it. That's why heart health deaths have decreased so much. And yet none of us are aware about brain health. It's time for us to become brain health aware so we can become Alzheimer's aware. Research shows many activities that are good for the heart are also good for our brain health. Hooray. So if you're doing heart health things now, you're helping your brain. Terrific. We're going to talk about that. So what can we do to get our brain healthy? We get that brain really pumping, okay? Pretty simple. We need to pump that blood to the brain just like you do pump your blood to your heart. Exercise. None of us like to hear that E word, but it makes a difference. And not just regular exercise, folks. You need exercise that is active 3 to 4 times. We're going to talk about that. Then you need diet. What kind of diet do you need? Yes, heart healthy diet will be good. We're going to talk about that. You need sleep. I know, don't even go on me. Sleep is important, okay? And then we're going to do mental things that make our brains really mentally active. So let's go through each one. Good for your heart is good for your brain in exercise. Aerobic exercise, moderate to high intensity. The doctors say, all the research points to, that if you sweat to 4 to 5 times a week, you're going to improve your brain health, okay? For every inch of waist reduction that you give, you gain 1 whole year of brain health. Think about that. Lose an inch off your weight, gain a year in your brain. Who doesn't want that? It has to be regular and consistent to really be helpful. And I encourage you to work hard at talking with your physician about what exercise is good for you. Over time, it increases your blood flow and your brain function. They actually have research that shows this can work with a regimen of a lot of other things, okay? So number 1 is exercise like you do for your heart. It's also good for your brain. Not just little walking, but sweating 4 or 5 times a week. Okay, diet matters. They believe that the Mediterranean diet is one of the keys to good, healthy brains, okay? Fruits, veggies, healthy oils, minimize junk, salt, fatty meats, critical for brain health. Any of these diets will do. And there's also a diet called the Alzheimer's diet. Basically, it's a Mediterranean diet, okay? It can improve with exercise, with other things. It can improve your brain function if you are extremely diligent under a doctor's care. But as you can see, we here in Louisiana are pretty darn lucky that we can do as much seafood as we can do and as much fresh foods as we can do. We have fresh markets. Go to them. Do what you can do to get that fresh food. Limit your cheese, limit your fats, and do brain healthy Mediterranean diet, foods that can really improve not only your heart, but it really does improve your brain as well. Sleep, here's the one that nobody likes to talk about. Poor sleep reduces concentration and memory function, okay? Consider brain effects after years of reduced sleeps. That's where we are. Consider brain effects after years of reduced sleep. We need 7 to 9 uninterrupted hours of REM sleep. This is what gets a brain healthy over time, okay? If you're having sleep problems, if you have sleep apnea, that hurts your heart, it's also hurting your brain, okay? Go after those doctors who can help you become sleep healthy, okay? Alcohol, caffeine, nicotine, day sleeping, that's not that 7 to 9 hours of REM sleep. Those are all issues that keep your brain from being able to rest well. The research has showed that as your brain rests into that REM sleep, it cleans itself of the plaque that is causing Alzheimer's over time. My aunt who had Alzheimer's, and I look back at this research and go, she never slept but 3 or 4 hours a night. She never got good sleep. She lived into her early 90s, don't get me wrong, but she lived the last 12 years as an Alzheimer's patient. And there's no way that I don't think some of that affected her, okay? Manage your medications that can help you rest well. If you're on medicines that keep you awake, you need to try to manage that. These are things that people early on in life, I'm talking about children, all the way into young adults, into older adults. We all need to become very aware that our sleep affects our brains and can make us pretty unhealthy in our brain years later. Okay, so managing medications, getting good sleep. And if you're an older person, all my older friends look at me and go, you must be crazy. I survived raising kids and not sleeping. And now you want me to go back and figure out how I'm going to sleep? Yes, that's what I want you to do. I want you to go back and figure out how you're going to sleep for your heart and for your brain. Okay, so we've done exercise, diet, sleep. Now you're going to do relaxation and stress, because we all know stress can really affect how we feel. It also affects that brain, okay? It's critical to have weekly stress reduction. Learn ways to affect your mood, your anxiety. All of that truly does affect your brain and your memory. And I like to say we can do that with lifestyle changes that keep your brain active. A sedentary brain can get anxious. If you're an anxious individual, learn to keep that brain moving into positive ways, okay? Keeping your brain active increases its vitality, even years into life, okay? That's why I tell people who have their loved ones isolated at home, bring them to Charlie's Place, bring them to an activity center. They need that social engagement. It is so very important to retain those brain cells and those connections, okay? They may even be producing new brain cells. That's what new research is beginning to show, that the more active brain, then guess what? It might even be making new brain cells. Doing new things in new ways always is a positive in your brain health, okay? I like to say this, and look, no older person loves to break out of their routine, but if you can do something just a little different, that brain can work a little different. And that's what we need them to do. We need our brains to be healthy. Okay, what's all this brain healthy mental activity? Music is a key to mental activity as we age. Music is a key to engaging a brain who is very advanced in Alzheimer's. Music is a key. We have clients who are pretty much nonverbal, and you play a song they're familiar with, and they're singing the song. It is a magnificent thing to see, but music is key to our mental activity throughout our lives. Music and arts really are important. It keeps that brain clicking, keeps the brain moving. Mental activity prevents decline. Again, doing new things in new ways. I don't care if all they're doing is household chores, they're doing, okay? You may think you're helping, but let them go through the laundry. Let them clean the dishes, okay? I love this reminiscent therapy. It's wonderful for those who are who have some type of dementia and who have even advanced Alzheimer's. You can show them pictures from early on in their life, ask them questions, and they literally will talk back to you about it. They will engage you. This is what we like to call moments of joy. This is when that brain is clicking, okay? And as a brain shrinks and that disease overtakes that person, those moments are less, but that doesn't mean they can't happen, okay? But reminiscence therapy is a wonderful way to go about reaching our loved ones who are suffering from this disease, but really good for us to keep our brains moving forward, okay? I love this one when they say no all day TV. You do what you need to do, but all day TV is not going to be engaging. Okay, so bouts of TV with great shows or shows on things they like is one thing. Staying socially active is absolutely vital to keeping an active brain. And we want you to know that staying socially active is important for those people who are already suffering and who are already in this disease. They need social activity, but it's difficult for families and loved ones to visit and stay socially active. You have to learn ways to do that. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We want you to talk with family and friends, games, crossword puzzles, Sudoku, anything that can keep you mentally active, you do it. I have lots of friends who now do all kind of word games on their phone. I'm all into that. Whatever keeps your brain moving and shaking, that's what we want, okay? We want you to learn how to love your brain. Number one, break a sweat, get out there, exercise, hit the books, read something new, okay? If someone has Alzheimer's and can't read anymore, read it to them. Get them to read something they haven't read before. Butt out, meaning you gotta stop the smoking and the vaping. It's bad for your brain. We want you to follow your heart. What you do for your heart is good for your brain. We want you to think heads up. This is an important part of your body, probably the most important. Need you to really, really make that a priority when seeing a doctor and when thinking about how you're caring for yourself. We want you to fuel up right. We want you to get that right amount of food, give yourself good diet, research that Mediterranean diet and make some diet decisions that are good for your health, okay? Catch some Z's, you need to catch a lot of Z's. If you're not a sleeper, you need to learn how to become a sleeper. And not, as I told my good friend, not at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for barely sleeping. That's a nap. That's not a REM sleep, okay? We want you to be sleeping. We want you to care for your mental health. If you are having depression, anxiety issues, put that front and center with a doctor and get that taken care of, because that does affect how your brain will be able to make its way down your aging world. Buddy up, be honest with a good friend about where you are and what you're doing. Buddy up and do it together. We give out free memory screenings. We'll talk a little bit more about that, but that is just so very important. And stump yourself, try something new, do something you've never done before. So those are all hints about how to love your brain and how to become, hopeful for the future. Talk with your physician. I really encourage, and we encourage here at Alzheimer's Services, that if you have any family, any and everybody can participate in Pennington's Biomedical Research Center. They have an Institute for Dementia Research and Prevention. I've actually given you the website. They have a couple of studies. They are doing miraculous work there, and I encourage anyone to please go join up in their clinical trials. We all participate, and I encourage you to, if you qualify. It's wonderful, wonderful hope for our future to improve this disease and to help our state in general know what we have and what we need to improve upon. Okay, so now we're down to this part about becoming a friend. How do we become a dementia friend? Well, today was a really good step in that direction, because we want you to be able to understand dementia, the differences in it, okay? We want you to be able to understand that there are moments of joy when we work with people who have dementia, and even when we cross them in our daily worlds. My dad had dementia. He was a 13-year stroke victim. He was a stroke patient for 13 years, and we brought him out for lunch a whole lot, but sometimes it was kind of difficult because he wasn't always the most agreeable. We had to learn some strategies about taking him and doing for him, but to get those moments of joy, it was fun. And so we want to celebrate those moments of joy, and we want to connect with other caregivers. That's a real important thing to do. If you have a friend who's caregiving for a person with dementia, Alzheimer's, I ask you to reach out. Many of these caregivers can be so overwhelmed, they don't even know what to ask for. That's why we're here. Tell them, reach out to these people. Alzheimer's Services in Baton Rouge can help you, but there are lots of other places across the state who can, and we can connect you to those. But don't leave these caregivers or people who are affected isolated. That just creates so many more problems, okay? I love this statement, to create safe spaces for those affected. Otherwise, learn what you can about the disease, how that person that you're caregiving for, or your friend's mother, or whoever you're touched by in your life by Alzheimer's, how can you create a safe space? How can you sit with them for an hour or so while your friend goes off? What can you do? Can you turn the TV off and play a game? Can you just sit and hold their hand or read them a book? All kinds of ways to create safe spaces for those affected so that caregivers can connect and feel valued. It's very, very, very hard. Becoming a friend is truly just getting information and getting training. So much is available online. I'll give you some resources at the end, but together, if you start working with your friend who probably you haven't talked to because they're overwhelmed caregiving for their mother, you can really bring light to the darkness of that situation for them. But it's not anything anyone can do alone. It is a together project, and I ask you to reach out to them. So here we go. We're going to reach out to a friend with dementia. 5 ways to support that friend. We're going to stay friends, okay? Just because they have dementia and they can't talk like they once did, or they can't carry on the same conversation, doesn't mean that you can't stay connected. There are ways you can be a friend to dementias, okay? Make specific offers to help. I'm going to pick you up. I'm going to drop off this. Specific ways and offers to help. When you're working with someone with dementia, it is really important that you recognize that fewer words and more visuals. Let's go this way. Ooh, it's cold. Fewer words, more visuals make it easier for them to understand. Slow down, talk clearly, treat them as an adult, okay? Try not to argue because they're not always going to make sense, right? I haven't seen you in 2 weeks. Oh, yes, you did. I was here yesterday. There's no reason to go there. Just, I'm so glad to see you. Okay. Always choose a place with less noise. I say this about restaurants. I say this about a house with TVs and radios in it. If you want them to be one-on-one with you, you need to be one-on-one with them. Reduce the noise level. They can cooperate and they can identify you and be in better communication with you. And this fifth one, I always say, because your friend who has dementia may not always be aware that they have a big problem. Your job as a caregiver and as a friend is to make them feel supported, okay? Grieve away from them. This is a tough disease. To watch your friend slowly or your loved one slowly move away from you into a disease where they're pretty lonely, okay? But grieve away from your friend so that you can give that person your all while you're with them, okay? Yes, they are different, yet they are worthwhile. You can have many, many joyful moments with your friends and loved ones who are suffering from dementia. I like to mention Teepa Snow. I'm actually trained as a positive approach to caregiver. Many of us here are at Alzheimer's Services, but I would encourage you, if you're working with someone or you're trying to visit someone, you can look up Teepa Snow online and she'll give you a wonderful way to go about that visit, okay? All right, we're getting down to our last 10 minutes. So I hope I've kept you awake a little bit, but we are here. Our resources are here at Alzheimer's Services of the Capital Area. We have 2 Charlie's Places. We do free memory screenings by phone. Anyone can call us and we'll be happy to do a memory screening for you and set that appointment. And so if you're worried about yourself or a loved one, call us. We can try to help you through that. We have caregiver support groups throughout the month. All you have to do is reach out. Anyone across the country. We have 3 online caregiver support groups that they can participate in. We have 5 in-person per month that if you're in the Baton Rouge area or surrounding parishes, you can come to. But again, it's not limited to that. Our caregiver support groups are across, we literally have people across the country who participate. We have a terrific lunch and learn program, all online. Our recordings are on our YouTube channel. I encourage you, if you're having trouble with any issue with someone, we can direct you to a lunch and learn that might be helpful for you. They're all recorded and easy to watch. We have virtual visits. We do in-person visits here at our office to try to help friends and families who are struggling through. We have tremendous amount of understanding, all kind of resources for you. We give education and support. We have a weekly helpline. You can call anytime, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., because we want to be here walking the journey with you together. Again, no one needs to walk this alone. Here are our resources. Hooray. First of all, I'd tell you to reach out to Alzheimer's Foundation of America. They do a 24-hour hotline for support and education. They have a tremendous amount of outreach for caregivers. Then Alzheimer's Services, that is us, located here in Baton Rouge. We're your one-stop shop in the state of Louisiana for any and everything you might need to know, and that might be able to help you. If we don't have it, we'll find it for you. And we're going to hold your hand as you walk this journey. Please reach out to your local council on aging They have a tremendous amount of resources that can really be helpful. And then last but not least, our positive approach to care through TIPA Snow Caregiver Support. If you want to learn, that's a great place to start. So here I am. If anybody has any questions for us, we're open for the last 10 minutes for questions.
Thank you so much, Ann. We have a few questions.
Great.
I think you've answered the first one here, but research has indicated that neuroplasticity does not stop after adolescence and continues throughout life. Are there ways we can promote building neural connections as we age?
There are ways. It's a very stringent. There's no medicine that you can take. Okay, they haven't found that yet. They're working very hard to find that, but there is not. They believe that through exercise, diet, sleep, mental activities, different types of vitamins, that you may be able to really do some improvement on how that brain connects. So I think I answered a good bit of that. I'm happy to, if that person would want to reach out to me, I can send her some real research centers that might be of help.
Thank you. And we had a couple questions about, will this be available? And just want to let this session be available. Just want to let everyone know it's being recorded. It's going to be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and all recordings and documents will be linked on our conference schedule that you guys have, which is, I'll put the link in the chat, but it's the bit.ly link with go to conference 22 schedule. So I'll put that in there for you guys. Also, we have questions about how do we find a doctor who specializes with dementia?
Please call our office. We have a list of doctors, and we will in the Baton Rouge, New Orleans areas, but we also have lists for other parts of the state. We'll find you a doctor that's good for you.
Thank you. And what, so another question was, we have close family member with all the symptoms and doctor insists on MRI.
MRIs can show them things now that they weren't able to see before. And if if that's what they want to do, it might be helpful. We generally refer you to neurologists to get those MRIs, and for that neurologist to read it well. They're specialized in that type of MRI work. So if it's a neurologist, sure. But yes, they can learn a lot from an MRI nowadays. Yes.
So are there any other options for families who may have a loved one that has violent behaviors?
Those are difficulties. Drugs are our last. We like to say, we're going to try a lot of other behavior modifications before we're going to suggest getting some type of medication for them. But at certain points, sometimes that brain is just where it is. But there are, we call it, there are behavior modifications you can do about how you're approaching them. Imagine being a person with dementia. This is scary, okay? I know I don't know. I'm not sure who I am when I look in the mirror. So it creates a lot of, in most, not in all, sometimes in people it does the opposite, but anger and anxiety. So it can come out in a lot of difficult behaviors. And I like to call it, difficult communications. So they're trying to tell you what's going on, but they don't really understand it themselves. So that requires some specialized work, definitely talking with a neurologist, and definitely working with us or a similar agency who can help you to try to understand the triggers that are creating that anger and that situations. Generally, they're pretty common triggers, even sometimes pretty common daytimes. I mean, it can be as simple as that. And we can certainly help you try to work through some of that. So if you're experiencing some of that, it is very hard. Try not to take it personally. Remember, that's the disease acting, not the person himself that's buried in there. That's not their heart, that is the disease. So if they need that kind of help, please reach out and we can refer you to a good somebody, a counselor who may be able to help you, or to a good neurologist who might be well-versed in that type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Did I address the answer?
I think you
so.
did.
I think so.
Yeah, so we had a couple questions about do you have more educational seminars and some good activities to do with someone with Alzheimer's? And perhaps this person missed that part of the presentation, but just want to remind everyone that we're going to record this and upload this, and I'll put the link where it will be within a day or two. It'll be linked onto our conference schedule that everyone should have. So all of that was included in your presentation.
Sure.
And then we have another question. What is the earliest age that you should start watching for signs of dementia or Alzheimer's?
We have early onsets in their early 50s. So as sad as that is, I would say I'm 60. I'm talking to my doctor this year about brain health. Okay. So I would tell you, I did a memory screen. I have a number, and every year I'm going to make sure my numbers hopefully stay the same or at least close. So I would say around 55, 60, you should be talking with your doctor, if not before, depending upon what you're seeing. We do have monthly lunch and learns. We have an education conference that we do also it'll be April 19th of 2023 this year. But our monthly lunch and learns, all of that is posted, recorded, just like this presentation is recorded on different subjects on our website. So I'm happy to send that link to Jordan and she can share that with you all.
Okay, and then one last question. Do y'all work in validation therapy training?
No, we do not do that. We can refer you to people who do that.
Okay.
Good question.
And so the other comments were just thank you, very informative presentation. Oh, here is a question, which I think you answered it in the presentation. You did. So that will be in the recording, but basically what's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? And so if I was a good listener, Alzheimer's is the biggest portion of people who have dementia. Yes. Under the dementia umbrella.
Yes. You're a good listener.
I know. I'm proud of myself. I hope everyone listen to this very informative session. And so we have some other comments just thanking you for your presentation, how very informative, enlightening it is. We have Mary Jacob, who's with Families of Greater New Orleans, who says, our costs for seniors have increased tremendously. And even though we get no funding for this population, we still try to help them. Sending them this video will be useful.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Wonderful.
And
thank you all so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. And, you know, anybody has questions, that's what our numbers are for. And please reach out to us. Thank you so much, Jordan, for including us.
Thank you, Anne. Our next session will start at 10:30. You're welcome to stay on Zoom and wait for the next session or log back in at that time.
Thank you.